Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Don and I make videos about lifestyle, mental health, and social work. Today's video is going to be, did you get your LCSW? Before we get started, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification button so you can be notified of more videos like this. I am posting 3 times per week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Also, I want you to check out my big cartel. I am offering one-on-one calls. So if you want to work closely with me about academic or career things, then I'm more than happy to work with you. So if you're interested in that, check the link out in the description box below. So I made a list of things that maybe would make it worth or maybe you should get your license. So the first thing is if you want to practice independently. So when you have your clinical license, that is what makes you able to practice without clinical supervision. So if you work somewhere, they don't have to sign off on your notes, and that is a huge advantage when you are working for someone, because if you don't have your clinical license, then they have to hire somebody typically to oversee the work that you're doing. And so it's really important that you have that coverage. The next thing is if you want to work in private practice, sometimes you can work in private practice without your clinical license, but most times it requires that you have your clinical license. So say you graduate and you say, oh, I want to work at a private practice. I want to work downtown Chicago at this agent, or not agency, but at this firm, at this practice. Typically you would need your clinical license. And sticking to that, if you want to start your own private practice, you definitely will need to get your clinical license. If you want to bill insurance, then you will probably need your clinical license. Specifically, if you want to bill Medicare, then you will need your clinical license. So if you want to bill with Medicare, then that is something that you would need your clinical license for. And sticking to that, if you want to work in hospice or if you want to work with older adults, then typically you will need your clinical license because their insurance will more than likely be Medicare or something along those lines. So I know with hospice they require that because typically you're part of an interdisciplinary team and you are usually the sole social worker on staff, and so you kind of need to be everything, and that's including being able to practice independently. A fun one that I'm really excited about is providing clinical supervision. So if you want to provide clinical supervision, then you need to have your clinical license. The last two would be if you want to be more competitive for positions. A lot of times positions will say your master's license is required, but what will the preferred qualifications say? Typically the preferred qualifications are that you have your clinical license. So if you want to work in academia, or you want to have an adjunct faculty position, if you want to move up in management or in leadership roles, different things of that nature, typically they want someone with their clinical license. It's not impossible to do some of those things without a clinical license, but really for many people the clinical license or clinical, it may say is clinical eligibility, is an indicator. So just something to think about. The last thing is potentially increase your salary. So that was a huge one for me, and just kind of a quick reason for why I took my licensure exam. I applied for it because you get your hours, like that's free. You might as well submit your application. That was my thought process. But then I actually did not set an exam date until I was recruited for my previous position, where I would be the sole clinical provider. So I needed my clinical license. So that's why I sat for my exam because the role I was in, I did not need it. And I was not going to receive like a raise or anything if I got it. So I knew that if I sat and passed that exam, I was leaving my job and I would be entering a role and will be entering future roles that require it or at least respect the credential, even if I didn't necessarily need it for the day-to-day thing. So I think this is a good transition from addressing like, should you get it, to is it worth it? And so with the salary range, really discussing that could be a great reason to make it worth it if you actually get that raise. But some other reasons I thought about include, if you want to work in direct practice. If you want to work in direct practice, then I think that is the natural step because you are working hands-on with individuals, couples, families. You're working with special populations, whether it be, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, or if it's members of the LGBTQIA community, if it's veterans, anything like that, then you want that clinical expertise. That license will really give you an edge, and it will help you have the respect of not just the constituents, but really also your peers and funders and different things like that. The next one would be increased autonomy. Typically, when you have your clinical license, you're given more freedom, more responsibility, things of that nature. So if that's something you're interested in, then your clinical license may make it worth it. Leadership opportunities. Again, if you're working in direct practice and you want to become a manager, you want to become a supervisor, you want to become a consultant, then those are all things that you will need to do. I'm seeing so many people increase their media personality presence as clinicians. They are showing up on different talk shows and things, which I think we should, because there's so many mental health issues displayed on TV, right? So having your clinical license really protects you, and it gives you that credential to be able to go on not just national TV, but really, to do anything, to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is, the information that's out there. People hear you more. And the last one that I'll say could make it worth it would be if you want to work for yourself. It's worth it if you want to, sign the check. Like if you want to be the one who's paying people, then I think that's where like your expertise will really come in. And I think that it can really benefit you. And so there's a lot of things that I plan to do with my clinical license that I had not thought about doing prior. And so I think for me, I'm trying to get to that place where I feel like it was worth it. I have not arrived there yet, but I am hopeful that I will arrive. And I do believe that where I want to go and what I want to do may not necessarily require the LCSW, but the LCSW will enhance it. All right, so that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment in the comment section below whether or not you intend on getting your clinical license. And if so, where are you in that stage? What area of social work are you working in? Are you working in micro, meso, or macro? And then finally, if you need somebody to work with, please, please, please visit my big cartel. I am accepting clients, and this is an area that I am so passionate about. And I'm so passionate about helping people, especially underrepresented groups, but again, all people pass their clinical exam, apply for their clinical license, really figure out different areas of social work that would be a great fit for them, and just have that accountability, that mentorship, that additional resource that extra set of eyes, whatever the case may be, and whatever it is that you may need, I am definitely more than willing to help you and connect you to others who are able to help you and connect you to my network of over 7,000 people. So thanks so much for watching, and until I see you next time, be you, be great.